Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dialogue. I am here talking to Alanna Rogers about Hands for Hunger, and we have been having, I think, a fantastic discussion about what really the issues are here in the Bahamas, who's affected, and what they are doing to try and improve the situation. And there's a question that I definitely wanted to bring up, because when you started talking about, when I first got an email from your sister, essentially talking about the program, my thought went to about 2-3 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, maybe my sense of time is sometimes, or maybe 5-6 years ago. I remember reading this ridiculous article where somebody, you know, essentially one of the big food stores in the U.S. was giving away food. You know, you could come in at the end of the day. Somebody got sick taking this, and they tried to sue the supermarket. And I just thought this was absolutely the most ridiculous thing in the world. You are being given free, and I mean, don't get me wrong, not that people who are hungry shouldn't have equal rights, but it just seemed crazy that when a company is actually doing something good and they're trying to make this positive impact, obviously to me, it's up to yourself to actually identify whether this food is edible or not. And anyway, this person got sick, they sued. There was a whole bunch of controversy that happened as a result of this. The Good Samaritan Act, I think, is what was passed in the U.S., and I believe it's being passed in other countries too, which essentially protects these donors from being sued should you happen to get sick because of whatever they have provided you with. Anything like that exist in the Bahamas? Is this something we should be worried about, that, you know, or at least have on our radar to ensure that we don't have these, I think, ridiculous lawsuits bogging down the system?
I think it definitely is on the radar, and I'm hoping that it's on the Bahamian government's radar to a larger degree as well at this time. We had preliminary discussions with the Foreign Minister of State, Mr. Desmond Bannister, and we were able to really make some favorable progress with compiling a Bahamian Good Samaritan law.
Oh, really? Okay, fantastic.
This law, as you mentioned, does exist in the U.S. and in Canada, and we provided copies of both of those laws to the Bahamian government, and, and hopefully that will make the drafting of the legislation a bit easier. My personal view is that we can't live in hypotheticals, so you can't say that in the case of one person getting sick, we're going to prevent 10,000 people from being fed. Second of all, it's so hard to track when someone does get sick where that's coming from. We're enhancing people's feeding programs. We're not providing the only source for it. And there are multiple checks in place that ensure that the food stays safe. So we utilize fully refrigerated trucks. We have very specific donation guidelines for our food donors. So they're giving us food that has not been in the danger zone, that's been properly stored and prepared in safe and clean conditions, refrigerated in containers that are sealed, properly labeled, and then, you know, we do our part, like I said, with the refrigerated trucks, and then when everything is redistributed within 24 hours, so it stays in the truck overnight.
This isn't the idea of sort of week-old tuna fish being given out, you know, which I think
fresh,
is so important to get this point across. This is simply stuff that, because of our really high level for consumer policy that we have in the country, this food is no longer available.
And there's, you know, a level of responsibility also falls upon the food recipient, because we conduct site visits ahead of time, and they fill out an agency application, but they have to have adequate capacity, they have to have refrigerators and freezer space, and clean and sanitary facilities, and they have to use their discretion and judgment as well when they receive the food as to putting it away immediately in the fridge or freezer and then serving it. So, again, there's always a risk that something could go wrong, but to not put in place a program like this because of that risk alone, to me, is senseless, and hopefully the government will continue to work to propel that law forward and eventually pass it through Parliament so that food donors can be officially protected.
Well, I'm just going to put out that plug again, as I always do. Remember, democracy is where we live. This is a great and wonderful country. If you value it and you value this program, to ensure that we don't end up in the red tape, and red tape that occurs in the States because of lawsuits is one of the things that really just makes me ponder what's going on in the world. If you don't want to see that happen here, call up your MP, tell him you think it's important, you voted him in, tell him, or even if you didn't vote him in, tell him he's your MP now, and tell him that you think this is important, and tell him to raise the level of discussion, say that you want, this is simple law, nobody's going to oppose it, this is really something that is good for everybody, it's one of those laws we should have, the Good Samaritan Act. Call them up, tell them you want to see this on the books ASAP. This is not something that should take long debates or anything exciting like that. This is just something that somebody needs to spend 3 days putting together, and it'll be done. So
thank you.
Call them up. And if you do have any extra, like, real questions about it, again, go to the Hands for Hunger website.
Yeah.
Is there a number people can call you on?
We can be reached at 363-4545. That's our official line. All the contact information is also on the website, again, www.handsforhunger.org. You can find out about our current food donors, our recipients, volunteering opportunities. You can make a financial donation. You can learn about becoming a food donor, any of that kind of stuff. And we're happy to talk to you by phone also. So.
And again, one of the great things with the website is it does list on there all these different companies here in the Bahamas who are helping, and not just the food ones, which we've talked about, which seems to encompass almost all of the major hotels here, which, again, I'm really proud of all you guys for doing this, but also the different supermarkets who are involved, Gourmet Market, whoever it is, the Cayenne Tropical, and also, though, on the other side, the actual financial donors. So people are donating law services, Lennox Payton's doing legal work. We've got, you've already talked about
creative relations with all of the sort of stationary packet. Sam Pin Motors has done a tremendous job in sort of taking the lead in ordering our trucks and getting all that logistical stuff sorted out. Insurance Management and Summit have purchased one of our trucks. We're involved with a number of different Rotary clubs, Inner Wheel, again,
good.
Tammy Cates from Lennox Payton, and they're donating to us those green bags that you were mentioning earlier for us to carry the food in. Kelly's. So there's really a long list of donors from all sectors of the community, and we really appreciate their support. This effort is contingent on the efforts of everybody, and I think it's been a real demonstration of our community's ability to work together and create something that's effective for everybody.
And again, if you haven't in the past supported one of these organizations, what I would say, is if you decide to, whether it's come out to Goodfellow, you're going to go buy some of the Cayenne Tropical tomatoes somewhere, whatever it is that you happen to do, feel free to send them an email and say, I am purchasing this because I saw the good work that you are doing with Hands for Hunger. And you can also mention that you saw it on Dialogue. That would be a positive thing too. But even if you don't do that, let them know that you are giving them your dollars because you think what they're doing from a corporate standpoint is important. This is how we're going to start seeing this sort of revolution here in the Bahamas. As Alanna mentioned earlier, we don't have a tax incentive structure that works the same way as the States. But that doesn't mean that there's not financial benefits to companies who are following a more corporately responsible path, socially responsible path. So let them know you're going to give them your dollar because you think it's important.